But eventually the handmaids that are on the run do get that camaraderie moment, because we know there was a scene where they're like hanging out at the table and like enjoying a meal together. And I believe that the new wife, played by Mckenna Grace, is in that scene too. And I want to know all about what she's like. I am like, this is a wild card. I don't know what to expect about her. All I know is that I have read that she rules her farmhouse with a firm hand. That's pretty much it. Like, she's a teenager. Like, she's like fucking 16 or something.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by this. This is easily what I'm most intrigued about, and I really have nothing else to say other than I can't wait to see about it.
We've got nothing.
Yeah. But I love that. It's so rare in this show that we have nothing to extrapolate upon, because we know nothing about this character whatsoever from The Handmaid's Tale or the Testaments. And because these are our two bookends, usually if there's something that is like that's off the beaten path for us, we can find something to tie it into or correlate from one of these two frames of reference. We got fuck all right now, though.
Yeah. Although I will say that if there's ever gonna be a reference point for Mckenna Grace's character, it's going to be the Testaments. So if you haven't read it yet, please, for the love of God, go read the Testaments, because it is going to change your perspective about the way that girls this age are brought up in this society.
Yes, please read the Testaments before season 4 comes out, because we're so far off the beaten path as far as The Handmaid's Tale, and we're delving into Testaments territory at this point. Like, dipping the toe in maybe, but shit's gonna come up. And if you don't have time to read because, you know, people are busy, listen to the audiobook. Again, Ann Dowd reads the part of Aunt Lydia. It's sheer perfection. In any event, figure out how to get this media into your life in the next like 5 weeks, because you have 5 weeks before before season 4 premieres. And the information has been given to us in advance. So now at this point, it's up to us to just put the pieces together. We don't even have to like figure out the trajectory of the show. We just have to figure out how they get there. And that's such a beautiful thing.
Oh, it's just so fun. I just can't wait to see it all unfold.
Yes. By the way, I am halfway through my reread of this beautiful book.
Right on.
And all of the snarky, awful things that I said about it the last time around, which, Ms. Atwood, I owe you so many apologies, because I was a really big critic of this book. I didn't find it to be super compelling. I thought that like the character arcs were, you know, pedantic at best. I thought that it was like linear and gave you the happy ending that we all wanted. And like, yeah, a lot of those things still ring true. But it's also just an absolute treat to reread. And I'm really enjoying it so much more on what's technically my third reread of this. But just reading it without having to analyze it like we did ad nauseum has been wonderful. And I can totally understand why this got the Man Booker Award now.
Good. I'm really excited to go back. I was going to wait until we finished our rewatch and then go back right before season 4. But I had to go find that quote that I was looking for with Lydia today. And I started just like looking at all my notes and all the things I highlighted. And I'm like, there is a treasure trove of information in here that I can't wait to go back to.
I mean, it truly is scintillating. And I love everything about it now.
One of the things that I can't get away from in the Testaments that is like kind of alternate universe Handmaid's Tale tie-in is Tuello originally played a character on Parenthood that I very much adore and I can't get away from every time I see him, Joel. Well, in the Testaments, Daisy, Jade, Holly, Nicole, all the same person, her part is read by Mae Whitman. Well, Mae Whitman, it turns out, is Joel from Parenthood, Tuello's niece on Parenthood. So essentially, Tuello is sending Daisy, his niece, back into Gilead to bring down the country. So,
which then plays into your theory of Serena's baby being Tuello's, because they're cousins. They're cousins.
In the family. I can't get past it. Every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, that's funny.
It's Amber and Joel, Tuello and Daisy.
You know what I'm discovering? I did my reread of the Testaments. I finished that up about a month ago. It is absolutely a more enjoyable read when you're not reading it in militant book club style.
Yeah.
I never thought I would say that in a sentence, militant book club style. That's what that was, because we were trying to like do the thing,
style.
you know, right? Yeah, like we did that. But so it's a much more enjoyable read. And I think what kind of rubbed me the wrong way was the audiobook recording. And you remember that we definitely touched upon that. It was like there were the 4 different characters, Margaret Atwood providing, you know, the chapter breaks and stuff like that. And then you have you know,
Bryce Dallas Howard.
So Holly J. Days Nicole.
Yeah.
And then we had whoever plays Agnes, and then we had Aunt
Bryce
Lydia
Dallas
played
Howard.
by. Okay, thank you. I always get them mixed up, and I think it was like I enjoyed the shit out of Aunt Lydia's character. And honestly, if they just had Ann Dowd read the whole book, I think it would have been absolutely perfect. It would have been fine. Yeah. You don't necessarily need many different characters to complete an audiobook. You just don't.
Right.
And like people, you have like one character or one person read an audiobook all the time, and it turns out awesome. And I think Ann Dowd would be able to carry that off. I think it was just Agnes's and Daisy's characters, like the actual voice actors, that really irritated me. But then Margaret Atwood doing the in-between stuff didn't help either. So I just was annoyed the whole time that I was listening to the audiobook, and I feel like it carried into my reading of the Testaments because I was always reading it in their voices, and it bothered the shit out of me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The reason that I wouldn't want it all in Ann Dowd's voice is not anything about Ann Dowd, because basically she could read me anything and it would be good. It's that we already said we were really confused with the Audible timeline. It's hard to keep track of the structure of the book when you're listening to it on Audible. So at least having different characters have different voices, at least if it was all Ann Dowd, I don't know if I would have been able to keep track of when it was Agnes versus Lydia, because they kind of are in the same world.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to agree with Margaret on this. I totally see where you're coming from, Scarlett, because like Ann Dowd could read me the Bible and I'd be like, oh, please tell me more.
Right?
Sounds interesting.
What next?
This is compelling. I'm so delighted to hear this. But what I definitely had that same predilection as you, where listening to the audiobook severely affected my read of the Testaments. But in hindsight, I can totally appreciate having the 3 different characters voiced by 3 different voice actors. And it's twofold. Like the mental separation for the timelines makes a world of difference. Yeah. And then when their timelines do sort of meld, and like at the tail end of the audiobook, where you do get all 3 of their stories in a much tighter timeline, it does help with that. Yeah. But I also think it's important for understanding the mental state of each of these characters. Yeah. And Dowd being in the twilight of her life, and being portrayed by a more mature woman. And then you have Agnes portrayed by a woman who I want to say Bryce Dallas Howard is in her 20s or 30s.
At least,
maybe
30s, I think.
Somewhere in that frame. But someone who is like supposedly hitting like the prime of their life, and you can hear that youthfulness and that bounce in their voice. But there's also the understanding that like this is a voice that has seen, they've seen some shit. And then you have Daisy / Nicole / 10,000 other names. Yeah. Being portrayed by an actor who, they are like, the actor themselves is 30 plus, but they have a very youthful voice and are able to portray that in a way that has like this sort of bounce and this candor that shows almost a recklessness of like, I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. Yeah. And I don't know if Ann Dowd, for all of her perfection, would be able to emulate all 3 of those mentalities of those characters and be able to like push forward exactly what they were trying to do in the audiobook. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it really is just, I just did not enjoy Hannah's character, or Agnes's character, and then Daisy's character's voices. Like there was something about their delivery that bothered me. and it just
I think we're not.
it didn't jive for me.
Yeah.
So it's like if I had to listen to the book again, I'd be like, and Dad, can you just read this whole thing for me? Thank you so much. Because at least I have that background, but I totally get what you're saying about needing the distinction for the sake of the timelines and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think we're supposed to like them.
Right.
I don't think, especially Daisy / Nicole / everything else. We are like, the way that that's read, we're not supposed to like her. We're supposed to see her as a petulant teenage brat who then we can sympathize with eventually for being thrust into the situation that she didn't ask for and she has no control over, and she's just concerned about like the cute boy that like she has like some sort of weird potential flirtation with, and then she's thrust into Gilead. But we're not supposed to like her. We're supposed to understand what she's going through, but that's really it. And then with Agnes, I think that like we're supposed to kind of commiserate with what's happening with her, but she's so ingrained in this trauma response that we're not supposed to identify with her. I think the only person in that book that we are supposed to identify with is Lydia. Yeah. Well, and perhaps that's a symptom of our age as well.
Possibly. Well, you know what it is? It's just their performances didn't make me feel what they were trying to do. So at the end of the day, that's like my issue. Like Ann Dowd's sections absolutely did. With Agnes and Nicole, I kept feeling like I just wanted to get through it because they are just bugging me.
Okay, so here's how I think the issue is. It's a little bit twofold. First of all, it's just point blank. What you would read is different, and how you would interpret those words is different than how they read them. So when you hear it, it doesn't sound like how you would read those words, and therefore you don't think you're getting the same book delivery that you're hearing if you were reading it. So it's as simple as that. And also, I think it is a little bit twofold that Ann Dowd, you are used to being Lydia's voice. Yeah. So that is already how you would read her. Yeah. Even if you hadn't read it. So of course Ann Dowd is going to jive with how you would read it because you've already been conditioned to read Lydia's voice as Ann Dowd. Yeah. Whereas these two voices are entirely new, and it's just going to be weird for you. So I get that. I have that problem with audiobooks sometimes. Yeah. Like, it's just not how I would read it. And reading the book is an entirely different experience than listening to it.
Totally.